This was Kabul airport in August 2021. Afghans clinging on to this US Air Force flight's wheel, far too desperate to leave the country after Taliban's takeover. Then the plane takes off and people hanging onto it fall to their death. It's been nearly 4 years since such heartbreaking scenes played out. This August, the Taliban regime completes 4 years in power. And now the question is, 4 years on, is the Taliban regime's international isolation easing gradually? Let's connect the dots. Afghanistan's Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi meeting Russia's ambassador to Afghanistan, Dmitry Zhirnov, in Kabul. The meeting comes after Russia accepted the credentials of a new ambassador of Afghanistan. This makes Russia the first nation to recognize the Taliban government of Afghanistan. Listen to Taliban's foreign minister hailing Russia's decision.
First of all, we appreciate the initiative of the Russian Federation in recognizing the IEA. We value this courageous step taken by Russia, and God willing, it will serve as an example for others as well.
The change of status was evident on the facade of the Afghan embassy in Moscow. Here, the flag of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan replaced the state symbol of Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. The Russian Foreign Ministry said in a statement that Moscow saw good prospects to develop ties and would continue to support Kabul in security, counterterrorism, and combating drug crime. It also saw significant trade and economic opportunities, especially in energy, transport, agriculture, and infrastructure. Russia's official recognition of the Taliban government is significant because no other country has formally recognized the Taliban government that seized power in August 2021 as US-led forces staged a chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan after 20 years of war, though China, United Arab Emirates, Uzbekistan and Pakistan have all designated ambassadors to Kabul, which is being seen as a step towards recognition. India has a technical team in Afghanistan which oversees humanitarian assistance. In November 2024, the Taliban regime appointed Ikramuddin Kamil as acting consul in the Afghan mission in Mumbai. Afghans in Kabul are welcoming Russia's decision.
When others recognize us the way Russia has, trade will improve, life will get better, and people will be able to travel from one place to another freely. Relations between countries will strengthen. Nothing good comes from war. War only brings destruction.
The Russian move is a major milestone for the Taliban administration that wants to ease its international isolation. Washington is believed to be closely watching the Russia-Afghanistan engagement as it has frozen billions in Afghanistan's central bank assets and enforced sanctions on some senior leaders in the Taliban. This had contributed to Afghanistan's banking sector being largely cut off from the international financial system. But the Russian move was not a bolt from the blue, because Russia has been gradually building relations with the Taliban. Since 2022, Afghanistan has been importing gas, oil and wheat from Russia. And last year, Russian President Vladimir Putin had said that the Taliban was now an ally in fighting terrorism. Remember, in 2003, the Taliban was outlawed by Russia as a terrorist organization. But Russia's Supreme Court removed the ban in April this year. This paved the way for Russia to formally recognize the Taliban government in Afghanistan. So why has Russia been warming up to the Taliban regime of late? Russia sees a need to work with Kabul as it faces a major security threat from Islamist terror groups based in a number of countries from Afghanistan to West Asia. In March 2024, Russia was rocked by a massive terror attack when gunmen killed 149 people at a concert hall outside Moscow. That attack was claimed by the Islamic State. US officials had said that they had intelligence indicating it was Islamic State Khorasan, the Afghan branch of ISIS, that was responsible. If the Taliban regime were to be believed, it is helping Russia on the security front, as it says it is working to wipe out the presence of Islamic State in Afghanistan. But there are more reasons why both the sides are expanding their engagement. The Russian decision to recognize the Taliban government also needs to be seen in a larger geopolitical context that includes the war in Ukraine and its many fallouts. The Ukraine war is draining Russia, and it is also facing immense pressure due to its economic isolation by the US and the West. So Russia is looking to win another ally in the Taliban regime by building economic and military ties with it. Afghanistan stands to gain too. The Afghan economy has been devastated by decades of war, and trade is seen as a win-win by both sides. Bilateral trade reached $1 billion in 2024 and is set to reach $3 billion by 2025. At the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum in June, Russia announced an expansion of its labor market to include Afghan specialists. Afghanistan needs investments, but in the absence of international recognition, attracting investments has been a challenge for the Taliban regime. In May 2025, Afghanistan agreed to join the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC, a project of the Belt and Road Initiative of China, but Beijing remains reluctant to invest in Afghanistan. The only known major Chinese investment is the $49 million that Xinjiang Central Asia Petroleum and Gas Company has spent on developing oil fields near Herat. The question now is, how much of the huge investment gap in Afghanistan will Russia be keen to fill now? The relationship between Russia and the Taliban regime also needs to be seen in the historical context. Russia has a complex and blood-stained history in Afghanistan. Soviet troops invaded the country in December 1979 to prop up a communist government, but became bogged down in a long war against Mujahideen fighters armed by the United States. Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev pulled his army out in 1989, by which time some 15,000 Soviet soldiers had been killed. So Moscow has historically had deep strategic stakes in Afghanistan, and its decision is rooted in the current geopolitical context in Asia and beyond. As far as India is concerned, over the years it has invested more than $3 billion in projects like the Afghan Parliament, the Salma Dam, and the Zaranj-Delaram Highway, which links Afghanistan to Iran's Chabahar port. India has built hospitals, schools, and offered thousands of scholarships to students. More than 3,000 Afghan students, including 300 girls, are studying in India. As a result of its humanitarian aid and development assistance, India retains significant goodwill among large sections of the Afghan population. India has a shared history, old civilizational ties, cultural bonds, and deep economic and strategic stakes in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is crucial for the Connect Central Asia policy that India launched in 2015. Crucially, the Afghanistan government has condemned the Pahalgam terror attack and stressed on the need for accountability. This simply means that the Taliban regime stands by India against cross-border terrorism emanating from Pakistan and remains a relevant partner in tackling this menace. A calibrated strategic engagement with the Taliban driven by pragmatism is in India's interest. One can expect a gradual yet cautious transition in ties, but the key here lies in how the Taliban regime handles matters sensitive to India in future. As far as the larger question of international recognition is concerned, it looks like a distant dream of the Taliban regime. Western diplomats say the Taliban's path towards wider international recognition is blocked until it changes course on women's rights. Remember, the Taliban has closed high schools and universities to girls and women and placed restrictions on their movement without a male guardian. It is at odds with the international community when it says that it respects women's rights in line with its strict interpretation of Islamic law. Taliban's international isolation may not end anytime soon, as it still needs to win the trust of the international community through its actions. That's all in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We'll see you in the next episode with more raging issues. Until then, it's a goodbye from all of us in the Delhi newsroom. This is Munmun Bhattacharya signing off. Take care and stay safe.